Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6. The Eagles lost a heartbreaker on Monday Night Football. Sistad is angry. So angry, crossed my mind that he may not show up for the pod. Thankfully, he's here. The Giants, on the other hand, found a way to lose another game, this one in historic fashion. Hopefully that eases your pain. The Jets are 1-1 after defeating the Titans on Sunday. On today's episode, we will recap all three games, touch on the baseball. We're certainly going to mock New York fans on Twitter, and we're going to introduce a brand new segment. All that and more coming up next. Welcome back. The Philadelphia Eagles, your Philadelphia Eagles, lost in dramatic, heartbreaking fashion. I know you must have enjoyed that. We're going to get into all the details, all the football stuff, all of that. But first, before we break down the Saquon drop, before we break down the defense in general, the defense on that game-winning drive, the Jalen Hurts pick. Before we get to all of that, I want to start out with something else. This is the 6th episode, right?
Yes.
Okay. During the first 5 episodes, it's been well established through conversation and you acknowledging that you are a diehard Philadelphia sports fan, a diehard Eagles fan. Correct me if I'm saying anything wrong.
Nope, you're good.
Or exaggerating. And you are a superstitious sports fan.
That's right.
During episode 2, I did my whole troll baiting you, trying to get you to acknowledge that the Phillies had won the NL East. Saying that it was over. You, to your credit, I guess to your credit, you would not cave. You would not acknowledge it. You even said that you will never acknowledge that it's over until it's actually over.
All true so far.
As I'm watching this game, and as I'm really watching this game-winning drive unfold, and then Drake London make the catch, I'm thinking to myself, for someone that's so superstitious, right? Someone that's so superstitious, how in the world would they do this?
No, I'm never really impressed with Atlanta. I don't think Drake London's very good. I think he stinks. And still all truth so far. Everything that has come out.
This is your fault. At no point do you believe in superstitions. You said the Falcons are bad. You said Drake London's bad. The Falcons beat the Eagles. Drake London had the game-winning touchdown. No coincidence?
No, I don't think it's a coincidence.
No, you do think it is a coincidence, you mean?
Oh, yes, I do. I don't think I had any bearing on that. I stand by that. I think Drake London stinks. I think the Falcons really suck. I was not impressed at all by what they did. On the flip side, I'm totally out on the Eagles. I think they
for the season or for the game?
Out season, and I'll tell you why. Say
season, you're out on them for the season. Meaning what? To clarify this, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to lose every game. What's out on them for the season mean?
Meaning that they're not a good team. Meaning that they might win. They'll probably win between 7 and 10 games. Maybe they'll get the last wild card spot in the NFC. We'll see. But yeah, that's it. They're not a real contender. They're not a top team in the NFC. They're actually
Hold on a second. I have a message.
5 letters here. RELAX. Relax.
What do you think? Take it easy. It's one game.
FUCK. No. So I'll tell you why. First of all, I have not been this fucking angry at any sporting event in a long time, a long time. I've been disappointed, obviously. There's been heartbreaking losses, obviously, but Just the setup of the way last year ended, and this game in particular. The reason why I'm upset and I'm out on them is because this is not just one game. This is not game 2 of the season. Obviously, technically it is. This
Okay,
is like
good.
10 games
Clarified.
now that they have looked really bad. And this was a hard this game felt like I got in a time machine and traveled back in time 10 months, because this was
Yeah.
the
Okay.
2023 Eagles in a nutshell. Couldn't get anything going offensively, and I know you guys were laughing at me. I knew the second the AJ Brown news came out that they were going to be in trouble. And they were. They looked completely inept without Brown, understandably so, but I don't see how a team that still has Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert and theoretically a
I
good
don't think they looked
quarterback in
inept.
Jalen
I don't think
Hurts.
they looked inept, by the way.
Well, that you're entitled to your opinion. I thought they were
scored
awful.
21 points. They had a failed fourth down conversion. It wasn't like they were. I mean, they weren't that far off from being in the mid-20s. Like, that's not inept.
It's terrible decision making. It's very safe, conservative, not pushing the ball downfield at all. It's where on earth was Dallas Goedert? It's why are we drawing up bubble screens for the punt returner in the red zone? Why are we throwing to like late round rookie pick Johnny Wilson in the red zone instead of Dallas Goedert, instead of Saquon Barkley, instead of Devontae Smith? It makes zero sense to me. And I just think the decision making, it felt like last year in so many ways. As far as the Barkley thing goes, like I'm 1,000,000% fine with the play call, with the fact that it was a pass, with the decision that Hurts took to hit that read. He dropped it straight up, and that really sucks. People are crushing them today because they were saying, "Oh, you have to run the ball there." It's like, no, you don't. It was a perfectly called play. The
He has
play
to
was
catch the
wide
ball
open.
there.
He has to catch the ball, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I agree.
You could not have thrown a more catchable ball. It was in front of his chest, in stride, in his hands.
Yeah, for sure.
So the play call is fine. The execution is not. But what really makes me mad about the decision making, the decisions down near the red zone. So why are we going for it on 4th and 4 on the first drive of the game? Because why? Because the analytics say that you have like a 6% better chance of winning if you score a touchdown instead of a field goal. First of all, it's 4th and 4. It's not 4th and inches. It's not 4th and 1. And the game just started. Like, you have no feel for what they're doing defensively, how your offense is looking without AJ. And like, lo and behold, they lose by 1 fucking point. And who knows what happens if they get a field goal there.
Yeah, but the whole game could have been different. I wouldn't point to that and say that was, and I don't think you're doing that. You're not saying that single-handedly was a difference. It's just one of the many things you didn't like.
I think it's definitely one of the, well, it certainly plays into it. And yeah, the game is different from that standpoint for sure. But like, so why are we being aggressive in the first quarter? And then like in the fourth quarter, right? If you're going to be aggressive, so what you're saying with that play call, it's 3rd and 3, you pass the ball to Barkley, which again, I'm okay with. But what you're saying with that play call is, I do not trust this defense to get a stop. So what's the difference between the 3rd and 3 and the 4th and 3? If you don't trust your defense to get a stop, why are you kicking the ball on 4th and 3 with 1:40 left to go up 6 if you know your defense is going to get a stop? Like, why not just go for the 3rd and 3, go for the 4th and 3? If you don't get it, then at least they're back they're inside their own 5-yard line.
You know the answer to that question, right? Like,
it's probably some dumb fucking analytics, which like obviously didn't serve them well in this
instance. Here's the thing about this: what you're frustrated with isn't that. It's not. You're making it seem like you're upset with analytics now. You're upset with data and information. And I think
in some respects, I am. In some
Because
respects, I
because
am.
the Eagles had a 97.6% win probability according to Next Gen Stats. I'm sure you saw that this morning on Twitter.
Yeah,
With
why is that even a
156
thing?
left.
Like, why do people like the only point of that
What do you
is
mean?
just to piss people off when it ends up flipping the other way? Like, why else do
No,
we
it's
need to
not
know
meant
that?
to piss people off. It's meant to provide information. That's most people that aren't Eagles fans find that interesting. Wow, that's crazy that they lost that game. It was crazy they lost that game. They win that game 97 out of 100 times. That's what that's saying. In that situation, they should have won.
Yeah, well, I don't know if their algorithm takes into account that it's the Philadelphia Eagles who
It does
are
not. No, it does not.
should, because the same thing happened last year and Drew Lock, same situation. No timeouts. Eagles kick a field goal. Drew Lock drives them down the field with no timeouts to score a game-winning touchdown, and they get the ball back with a few seconds left, and Jalen Hurts throws a game-ending interception. Same exact thing. There was that. There was the Arizona Cardinal game. Who, what did the Cardinals win 3 games last year?
All right,
Their
I have
third
to
win
stop
was
you though.
against the Eagles at home. They can't
Here's
stop
what you're
anybody.
doing. Here's what you're doing though. You came into this season confident, very hopeful. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. They addressed the defense. They addressed the secondary in the draft. They brought in Saquon Barkley. You came in very confident and hopeful. Why don't you let that play out? Instead of the moment something negative happens, you go back to how everything went wrong last year. This is a new season. They addressed a lot of the things from last year. Just because something reminded you of last year doesn't mean this season is last season. They made a lot of changes. What happened to all that hope and all those things that you liked that they did this offseason? What happened? It's just gone because of one bad game?
It's gone. Yeah.
Come on, it's not gone.
No, it is. And again, it's because I see the same thing that happened last year.
But separate them.
Why?
Emotionally, it feels the same because it's a different season. It's not the same coaching staff. There's different players. If it keeps happening this year, okay, then combine them. Fine. One game is not indicative of what's going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to be like last season just because things that happened in this game reminded you of last season. You see what I'm saying, though? Like, if this particular game happened week 2 last season, or week 2 the year after they won the Super Bowl, you wouldn't be feeling negative about it. So isolate them. Isolate them. That's my point. It's one game. Isolate it.
9 games, and
okay.
It's not like, listen. If they lost a normal game, then I would feel that way. It's the way that they lost. It's who they lost to. It's the fact that their defense is fucking bad. Like their pass rush.
It didn't look good. I agree.
It's non-existent. It is non-existent. So to your point as to what happened, because it seems like the moves that they had made over the past couple of years aren't working. So, the loss of Fletcher Cox, I didn't think would be this impactful. It's huge because, and it's not like they're not, to the Eagles' defense, like they always have a stout defensive line. Like that is like one of their main philosophies. This is the worst defensive line I could remember in, I don't know, 10 years, like since the Chip Kelly era. Again, they've tried addressing it. They drafted Jalen Carter. They drafted Jordan Davis. They bring in Bryce Huff. These guys just aren't. Nolan Smith is another first rounder they drafted last year. Yeah. These guys they're horrible. I mean, the best edge rusher on their team so far this year has been Brandon Graham, and he's been in the league for 16 years. It's pathetic. That dude, they don't have one sack from an edge rusher in these 2 games. That's like impossible, especially with an Eagles defensive line. So the biggest concern is that, like, a couple things on defense. The biggest concern is like their defensive line isn't going to just magically get better. These guys are getting no push, like none. Cousins had all day. That's why it's concerning, because you look, Cousins had all day yesterday to throw. We'll take the Packers game out of it. Playoff game, Baker Mayfield, all day, all fucking day. The Giants game before that, Tyrod Taylor, all fucking day. Drew Lock, all of these bad quarterbacks, they've been given time, and they've just been picking the Eagles apart. And, their secondary, I think I mentioned something to the effect of this earlier, on an earlier pod, but they're definitely not used to the new scheme. It's a lot of young guys. They're not quite there yet, and they're bad.
Yeah, but isn't that a good thing? Doesn't that mean that that's not indicative of what's going to happen going forward, that they should improve?
Well, here's, again, I don't think that the defensive line will improve. I just don't. I think some
Bryce
of the guys...
Huff has established himself as a high-end pass rusher. He's going to get to the quarterback. He's going to rush the quarterback. It's a small amount of snaps and a small amount of opportunity so far.
I think it's two full games worth, and he has...
Yeah, but someone who's a pass rush specialist that doesn't play every down, every snap, it's not that many snaps. It's not that many opportunities. It's like a reliever in baseball. They have one bad game and their numbers on the season look bad.
Right, but also, a reliever in baseball, I can see if you throw 98 and you have stuff. What I'm seeing from Bryce Huff is that he's getting clamped up by a tight end, one-on-one. And he doesn't have any hurries. His lone stat in 2 games so far is one assisted tackle. That's it.
I agree that he hasn't done anything yet. I'm not disagreeing
about
that.
No sacks, no TFLs. It's bad. So that is not going to just get magically better. It's just not. The other
not
thing,
magically better, but there's more opportunities it could improve.
Sure,
it's not magic.
But why can't you do it against the core? Dude, Cousins, look, I'm a Cousins fan. I think he's really good. I know you and I joke about he's not a winner in prime time. That's obviously ridiculous.
No, I agree. Cousins has been awesome.
I do, but this version of Cousins is he looked fucking awful. He can't move.
Coming off his
He's
Achilles.
a statue. Yes, and the Eagles didn't get anywhere near him. They had one guy to stop on the other team, and they couldn't stop him. Not even close to stopping him. Pitts is fucking awful. London is awful. I don't know why you're taking a victory lap over London.
I'm not taking a victory lap. I think it's funny that you said he stinks, and then he goes and scores the game-winning touchdown.
Okay, but what did he do?
You jinxed the Eagles. It's your fault. Back to where we started.
So, but anyway, so the other thing about the defense is that I hate the bend don't break defense. I understand it. I get why people do it. It's god awful. And here's what I don't understand. I get dude, believe me, I get the philosophy of get pressure with your front four and let the back end hold up until the front four can get home. I get that. The Eagles won a Super Bowl doing that. So I am on board with that philosophy. Okay. However, when there is no pressure whatsoever, you have to do something. Either
this
you're
is
gonna
kind
get
of what Jets fans are saying, by the way, too. This is pretty much what a lot of Jets fans are saying too. We'll get to them later.
But why? Why wouldn't you do something? Try. Because you're getting gashed either way. Why not try to get some pressure? What's going to happen? You're going to give up a 15-yard play instead of 3 7-yard plays in a row?
I think it's not as simple as you're making it seem. I think when you have a roster that you expect to rush the passer without blitzing, you put a game plan together without blitzing. It's hard to adjust in game. Now, maybe they come out next week and they have more blitz packages. They're doing different coverages. Maybe that's the case. That would be if they don't do that, then I could see more of a problem with it. But if the roster's built to get to the quarterback without blitzing, you're not going to put together a game plan week 2 to blitz. You're not going to be we didn't get to week 1. Let's just throw everything out we had planned for the season. You're going to. Early the season.
I suppose I think that's an absurd philosophy, but I suppose that could be the thought process.
The absurd philosophy? What do you mean? What part?
The absurd philosophy is, hey, it's halfway through the third quarter and we haven't sniffed the backfield at all. Let's do something. So I get that it wasn't in the game plan, but hey, this game plan is not fucking even close to working. So why don't we just send Zach Vaughn on a stunt or something and try to get home? Why?
Okay, well, I'm going to try to go in a different direction with on this with you because okay, say they found a way to win that game. Say Saquon makes that catch, gets a touchdown, or say the last drive Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the pick. They get a few more yards. They set up for a 55-yard field goal and they win. Would you be out on them for the season?
I definitely wouldn't be feeling good.
But you wouldn't be out on them.
I wouldn't be out on them, but that's what happened. The reason why I'm out on them. So listen. Here's the thing. Yes, that is bad. That sequence of events was inexcusable. I mean, I don't know what Hurts was doing there. You had a timeout and you still had 30 seconds.
It seems like he felt like it was a desperate panic situation, and it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Yeah, that's a problem. But the biggest issue, the reason why I feel this way, is because they're going 1-3. Like, there's no way they're going to New Orleans and beating that team. And there's no way they're going to Tampa. There's no way.
So you're doing the opposite of what you did last week now. The opposite of what you did last week. Last week, the Falcons stink. Drake London stinks.
They do.
They're not good.
That is
They're
true.
not good.
All of that is true.
The Falcons win. Now you're saying there's no way they're going to go to New Orleans and beat the Saints. Saints?
Yeah, but I didn't say there was no way the Falcons would win.
No, I know. But you're saying there's no way the Eagles will win. You're saying there's no way the Eagles will beat the Saints.
That is true.
So you're doing the opposite.
And they will not beat the Bucs either, right? They won't.
Are they going to win another game this year?
Probably, but by the time they do, it'll be week 7. You think I'm kidding, dude? It's like No,
I'm laughing because you're being serious. If you were kidding, this would be not that funny. It would be like, all right, we get it, funny joke.
No,
but you're being serious. I know you're being serious.
They are going to get smoked by New Orleans, and they're going to get smoked by Tampa Bay. They're not getting past. You saw what Derek Carr has done the first couple games. In the first game, we could say, it's Carolina, whatever. Carolina's the worst team in the history of the NFL. Then they went to Dallas and did it. And they, did that to them in the playoff game last year. And then they just went up to Detroit and had a big upset win there, too. So these guys are going to have all day. And they still have weapons. They still got Kamara and Olave. Tampa Bay still got Godwin and Evans. So, there's no way they win one of those 2 games. There's just not. And, by the time, they're going to be in a hole. And they're not.
Are you going to watch those games?
Of course. Yeah, I'm going to watch them.
There's no way.
Because I'm a sicko.
That's why you're a sicko, because you're going to watch them, not because of the way you're reacting to one game.
Right. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah, so listen, who knows? Maybe one of the quarterbacks gets hurt or something, and then they could steal a win. But
only way they win is if the opposing starting quarterback gets hurt. So if Derek Carr goes down, maybe 10% chance then?
Maybe a little bit higher, but yeah.
Oh God, who's the Saints' backup? I don't even know.
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because what's a harder game? Going to New Orleans or playing the corpse of Kirk Cousins at home.
That's not how the NFL works, though. You know that. That's not how the NFL works. It's just not. You lose games to worse teams. You beat better teams. It's just, especially early in the season, it's very random. You think about how many teams, what happened with the Cowboys week 1 and week 2, what happened with the Niners from week 1 and week 2. This is, dude, they're 1-1. This is even for you, this is a bit of an overreaction. They're 1-1.
Yeah, and they're about to be 1-3.
What place are they in the NFC East right now?
They are in second place.
How are they in second place?
Because Washington they're tied for first place.
Okay, they're tied. Yeah, they're tied for first place.
Second place, right?
They're tied for first place. All right, and the season's over. 2 weeks in, tied for first place. Yet you have been making fun of Yankee fans for being upset for being in first place or in second place different times of the season. First 5 episodes of this pod.
Right. The Yankees have a proven track record of success. They also have the best record in the American League late in the season, and they have by far the highest run differential in the whole sport.
But the concept of it's 1-1. The Eagles have a track record of making the playoffs over recent history. The Jalen Hurts era, they've been really good. They're 1-1. Everything's okay. The season's not over. It's very much alive. They can beat the Saints. I'm not saying they will, but they definitely can. It's a very winnable game. Yes. Yes.
No.
What's your
No.
reaction going to be next week if they win? Just say, hypothetically, miracle happens, Derek Carr doesn't get hurt, the Eagles still win. What do you think your reaction is going to be? Season's back on, or you're not going to be a believer?
I mean, hypothetically, sure,
Yeah,
the season would be
hypothetically,
back
we
on,
know it's
but
not
it's
going to.
not.
It would be back
Right,
on.
we know
Okay.
it's not going to happen. Right, but
Hypothetically, we know they're not going to
theory,
win.
it's back on.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep that in mind. If some miracle happens, of course, right? Not going to happen. We know that.
Never
The Eagles beat
would
the
never
Saints.
happen in a million years. So the Eagles went from being a I think it was a 2.5 point before the game last night. They were a 2.5 point favorite in New
On
Orleans.
the road. Wow. Okay. Now what are they?
And they're now plus 1.5.
1.5 point underdog. Can't win. What's the money line? Like plus 105?
Dude, the Eagles were favored in like every game of their collapse last year. So
All right. So
like,
there you go. The Saints are favored and they're going to lose. Perfect. I just used your logic against you.
I watch. Like if you've seen what I've seen over the past, over yesterday.
Yes, I haven't seen a football team that's as bad as the Eagles. No, I haven't watched it. No, the Jets have been great for many years now. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but it's all about expectations, man. Your expectations in the Jets have been in the dirt. And listen, this is on me. Like I duped myself. It's so
What
not like me to like be positive.
It's the podcast. It got to you. The podcast made you try to be more positive.
Maybe.
It got to you.
Maybe.
And then you on the podcast jinxed the Eagles. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Never doing that again.
All right, so moving on to the Giants. Let's make you a little happy. Instead of talking about all the negativity and the pain in your life from the Eagles' Week 2 loss, the Giants not only lost again, they're 0-2. They lost 21-18, but they lost in historic fashion. They are the first team, I'm sure you saw this, first team ever to score a minimum of 3 touchdowns, not give up any touchdowns, and lose. And thinking about that, a touchdown is typically 7 points with the extra point. You'd have to give up like 7 field goals and safety or 8 field goals. It's crazy that you can score 3 touchdowns and not give up any and still lose. They obviously had a specific circumstance going on, extenuating circumstance with Graham Gano out, which is Giants fans are very upset about. And I don't know if that's the reason they lost. Did you catch a lot of that game or no?
I did, yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't really cheer me up much.
Really?
Because I thought they were like by far the better team.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Kicker,
they were the better team.
Yeah, healthy kicker. Like they win that game, pretty handily. I think that right now, if the Giants played the Eagles next week, I would pick the Giants 100%. Because
where's the game? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter because it looks like the Commanders' defense is similar to the Eagles. It's really bad. And if you gave Jones, even someone as bad as Jones, if you give him enough time in the pocket and give him someone to throw to, he's gonna hit complete passes.
On
They're gonna
Sunday,
move the ball.
were you happy when they lost?
I was, but I was also like, oof. I watch. I'm not, I'm not like.
But they looked good against another team that's bad, that has a rookie that they're not letting throw down the field. It's not the Commanders drove down the field and scored on, I believe, every possession, maybe every possession except one. They just wouldn't score touchdowns because they weren't letting him make any mistakes. I mean, I don't think the Giants looked good.
Yeah, the concerning thing.
Neighbors is awesome.
You're right.
So
the concerning thing for me is that their offensive line looked halfway decent, and if you have a halfway decent line against the Philadelphia Eagles, you are going to destroy them. So yes, it's nice that they lost, but also in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking I think they play each other week 5 or 6.
You're in your Philadelphia sports bubble.
They are done, dude. They are.
So you're thinking about this from a Eagles playing them perspective. That's all. You're not happy. Oh, well, the Giants are 0-2 though. You don't want the Giants to win games in general, right?
Right. Yeah. So yes, watching it, dude. I'll tell you, I was feeling so all they had to do was just win that game. They didn't have to win it by friggin' by 30 points. Like, I was feeling great after last week, after this weekend with the Cowboys and the Giants losing, the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, like all these teams lost. It's like, just get the win. Just don't be fucking idiots and like just go out and win. And they didn't. So yeah, any sense of optimism is legitimately completely gone with the Eagles and me.
All right, so
Anyway,
sticking
but
to
we
the
already
Gi-
talked
stick,
about them. Yeah. So
sticking
back
to the
to the
Giants, what do you? Okay, so two things. One, I wanted to just throw in here: 10th time in the last 12 seasons they started 0-2.
Fantastic.
They've been really bad for a long time.
Yes.
What do you think about the Graham Gano situation? So I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter, maybe. And if we're going to have this in the Twitter segment, let me know now so we don't go too far into this.
We're not. No.
Okay.
No.
So,
A lot of it was logical. So I know, surprising, but
well, I don't know about that. So here's I'm really unsure about the whole situation. So this funny. This happened last year too. So Graham Gano pops up on the injury report on Saturday. They don't bring in an emergency replacement for a kicker because you can bring off a practice squad an emergency replacement. They have one on the practice squad they could have brought up. They didn't. He's a groin injury. He kicks off and then is not available the rest of the game. A lot of Giants fans, from my understanding, from what I'm seeing and hearing, people texting me, they're upset that the Giants coaching staff and front office for the second straight year knew of a kicker, Graham Gano, being injured going into a game and didn't prepare with an emergency kicker situation. In this case, they had the punter who missed an extra point and they never went back to him, Jamie Gillen.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on that? Is your expectation that a team should have a backup kicker in that situation?
Well, yeah, I think that they should have either put him on IR or called someone up for the game. There's no reason not to. If he was on the injury report the day before, then like, yeah, absolutely, you have to get a kicker in there, especially with the groin. Like the kickers are, it's like probably like one of the main muscles that they use is their groin. Like it's not like it's a shoulder injury or something. So yeah, I think it was
So I thought Daboll said that his answer was the groin. He was medically cleared to go. The groin was fine. There's no way of knowing a hammy was gonna. He was as if like basically inferring that he hurt his hamstring, and it wasn't the groin. Which I don't know. Even if that's true, maybe they are connected. I don't know. But either way, the point is you had a kicker that was hurt on Saturday. Be prepared. But the reason why I'm unsure of this is because you could have an injury and then get stressed out and be checked out by the medical team and be deemed fine to go. And teams typically don't want to have a second kicker on the roster when you need other special teams. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of injuries that will happen throughout the game.
To get hurt. Yeah. I think the thing. I mean, I would be beside myself if this happened to the Eagles, but yeah, I just think with a kicker, it's almost like a pitcher. Like it's probably so mechanical that even if your process is off, maybe you're doing something ever so slightly different and you end up pulling a hamstring. I don't know, but
I think it's possible that you're favoring a different part of your leg and you injure something else. I think that's reasonable to think that there's a connection there, without saying for sure there's a connection there. But hey, there could be a connection there.
Yeah, there's so many guys. Like the reason why I think it's ridiculous is that like, just cut the kicker. Like, get somebody else. Like there's a ton of kickers that are just laying around, and a lot of times, you sign a kicker on a Tuesday because your kicker got hurt, and he ends up being your kicker for the next 10 years.
You're not saying specifically the Giants should have cut Graham Gano. You're just talking about in general.
I'm saying in general, yeah. Like so with the like you can find a good kicker. Like so the dude that the Chargers have, Cameron Dicker, he's like one of the best kickers in the league over the past 2 years. And what, is he not?
No, I was going to say that I think that Brad Dice would love his name.
Yeah.
Dicker the kicker, he'd be
Dicker the kicker. Anyway, so Dicker the kicker, in 2022, the Eagles kicker, Jake Elliott, got hurt, missed a couple games.
Yeah.
The Eagles signed him for like 2 games. He kicked, he did really well. And then Elliott came back, so they released him. The Chargers picked him up, and he's been there ever since. So, like, there's a lot of these guys just laying around.
No,
So
I
the
agree,
fact
but
that
there's also, but if you have a good kick, you're not going to just cut him. Plus, I don't know about like the cap hit or cap penalty, but you're not going to just cut a good kicker if he's hurt, going to miss a game. But I understand what you're saying.
You put him on IR, and
then he has to miss 3 games, right? Or 4 games, 4 weeks.
So what? If you're worried about cap ramifications, and if your kicker's good, then you sign the kicker to whatever, to like a practice squad deal or whatever. And then when your kicker comes back, you give him the spot back.
I think if the kicker's like seriously hurt, yeah, but if he was medically cleared, and you think like he's most likely fine, there's a chance like he might think that changes things.
Yeah.
Like this situation seems like it wasn't as clear cut as he's hurt, he's not going to be able to kick. He's cleared. Let's give it a go, and then after the kickoff, it's like nope, can't kick. I don't know if that's why they lost the game. By the way,
I think it is.
But I think it was their second touchdown. They went for it on a 4th down and well in field goal range. They ended up converting and getting a touchdown. They would have just kicked a field goal.
Fair point.
So there goes all the extra points that they didn't get. And also, by the way, 2-point conversion around the NFL is like a 50% like ratio, probability of converting, and they went 0 for 3. Then the Singletary fumble in the red zone, the Neighbors drop. They didn't lose that game just because of the kicker. Plus, the whole way the game is played could be different.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. But it's definitely, I understand why Giants fans are frustrated saying that, why is this organization ignoring a kicker injury? Why are we not prepared for the kicker that was injured the day before if he can't kick? Why are we not prepared for this 2 years in a row? I get that. Yeah.
It's a legitimate gripe, for sure.
It's questionable, for sure. So the Giants go to Cleveland in week 3. 0-3?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't
know. Come on. Cleveland doesn't look great, but...
Probably. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but yeah. I mean, I guess if I had to pick, I'd pick the Browns just because their defense is good. So hopefully they're able to lock up the Giants' offense. They should do a better job than Washington. That's
a really tough spot for the Giants, I think, in Cleveland with that pass rush. I think the Giants are going to struggle. Did you see the amount of targets that Neighbors had?
Yeah, a ton.
It was like, I believe it was more than half of Daniel Jones' throws.
Really? Yeah.
I think it was like 60% or something.
Deservedly so. Dude he's awesome. Really good. He pops. Yeah, he pops off the screen for sure. Too bad he's not a winner and he dropped that 4th down ball.
Well, that was a bad drop. He had a great game. He looks really good.
Yes.
Singletary fumble in the red zone was really bad also, by the way. But so the Giants have the Saints next week trying to avoid an 0-3 start. I'm sorry. The Giants have the Browns in Cleveland. The Eagles have the Saints. According to you, the Eagles will be a loss, and according to you, you're not so sure. But according to me, the Giants will lose in Cleveland. How about that? No chance for the Giants.
Chance for the Giants, no chance for the Eagles.
Got it. The Jets, 1-1. Same record as the Eagles, yet here I am very positive about the team I root for. So sorry, I don't want to bring you back down to the Eagles. Jets, 24-17 over the Titans. Slow start. The offense came alive in the second half, towards the end of the first half as well. Rodgers' stats don't jump out at you. Played a very smart, calm, cool, collective game. No turnovers. Let Will Levis make the mistakes. Nice to have a quarterback that you can trust not to make mistakes and make the big throws when you need them. Mike Williams, a big play on that game-winning drive. Garrett Wilson, a really nice play, a really nice throw from Rodgers. He changed the play at the line. And they just have that really good connection, that Rodgers to like a top receiver connection that we've seen in the past. The defense was shaky to start, a lot better as the game went on. But there are some serious questions going forward. So we've obviously on this pod talked about Hassan Reddick's situation. He's still in holdout. We know Bryce Huff went to the Eagles. We know he sucks now. And They let John
That's
Franklin
right.
Myers go. Yeah, of course. No. Yeah, well, you put on the Eagles jersey and you have no chance to succeed in
That's
life.
right.
So,
Any Philadelphia jersey. It's not exclusive to the Eagles.
yeah, of course. And so their best pass rusher, they're not only their best passer, their best edge defensive or edge player is Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson was actually 7th in the NFL last year in run block win rate. He's a very good pass rusher. He's really good against the run. A really good overall player. Was all over the field yesterday until he tore his Achilles.
Oof.
Obviously out for the year. The Jets already lack depth on the defensive line. They lost 2 guys. They still have Hassan Reddick and holdout. A lot of concern there. They also lost their defensive captain and inside linebacker C.J. Mosley to
No
a toe
way.
injury.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Robert Saleh is saying that they hope he's going to play on Thursday, but that's not really an update.
Right.
Right? Yeah, why wouldn't you hope?
Right. Yeah.
Of course
We hoped
we do.
A.J. Brown was going to play yesterday, too.
Yeah. I hope one of our best players is going to play.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good update. That's just post speak when they don't want to give an actual update.
Of course.
You know. So
Yep.
It's just funny because, by the way, regarding this, I think me and you always talk about this. I don't value what people say in press conferences, players, coaches, managers say at all. I think it's just all nonsense. I think most of the questions are ridiculous, and they're just saying whatever they want to say just to move on. Next question.
Yeah.
There's
fundamentally useless.
Yeah, but there's an exception I've noticed recently. I love Aaron Rodgers' press conferences.
Oh, God, absolutely. I'm with you.
Actively listens to the question, thinks about it, and gives an answer. And it's not some ridiculous cliche answer. He actually gives a real answer.
Great.
It's
Love
really
it.
nice. Like you saw the brief. I think I sent you this. I know it's all over YouTube and stuff. The clip.
Yeah.
Where they asked him about. What did he? Oh, the reporter asked him, "Did your eyes light up when you saw Brees on a linebacker?" It's like, I'll tell you what happened. What happened. Brees came to me and said, "If the linebacker's on me, throw me the goal ball." And Rodgers underthrew it, and he acknowledged that he actually underthrew it, and Brees made a nice play to come back and get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to have
Aaron Rodgers, man. I think he's charming. I've always enjoyed it. I know he could be a little prickly at times, but that's how I would be if I was an athlete and you were asking me dumb questions. Like, I
agree. I would say such smart-ass things to especially on field or on court or on ice, like right after the game, the questions, oh my, how did it feel? How did it feel to get the win? Oh my God, that's the one that bothers me the most. It's so funny. And you get players that are like sweating and so out of breath and like, it felt great.
Yep.
What did the Jets do on the edge? They had Will McDonald, their second-year player, at 3 sacks, 4 quarterback pressures. So 3 sacks are a little bit misleading. One of them, second to last play of the game, was really nice. The other ones were, one of them, he was actually driving back in like a quarterback spy, and Levis kind of just like, as the play broke down, like went right into him. And the other one, he was like on the ground, and like Levis tripped over him. So he really had 1 sack. Sacks are a misleading stat. They're also a quarterback stat more than a defensive stat.
What are a quarterback stat?
Sacks.
What is that?
What's a sack? A sack is when a defensive player tackles the quarterback behind the line.
God, oh wow. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, the Eagles will get one soon. Don't worry.
They'll get one, maybe. Maybe they'll get one of those where the quarterback just runs right into him like Levis did. That'd be great.
Are we going to get through any segment without you bringing it back to the Eagles?
You're right. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is how upset you are about the Eagles. I want you to do this. I find it funny. I'm just curious. If the answer is no, it's okay.
I'll try. No, I'll do better.
I might end up bringing it back to the Eagles now.
Okay. All right.
What do you think about 35-year-old Justin Houston? Free agent.
For the Jets to bring in?
Yeah. This is where they are, unless they're going to pay Hassan Reddick, give him the contract he wants, which they're not going to. We'll get more into the Reddick thing later in our brand new segment that I mentioned in the open. What about the other options? The other free agent options are really, really bad.
Oh my God, J.J. Watt.
Former Jet Shaq Lawson, who's on the Cowboys practice squad.
Shaq Lawson, okay.
31-year-old Randy Gregory.
Okay.
Who hasn't played in 2 years.
Okay.
I mean,
is there any? Yeah, I was thinking about this too for not
for the
Eagles purposes. Yeah, but no, I was thinking about people that is there any do you think there's any trade targets available that they can get? I mean,
probably not this early in the season.
Yeah, you got to get if the Panthers, I'm sure they don't have anyone good, but yes, one of these bottom feeders has got to have a decent edge rusher somewhere, right? The Niners got Chase Young last year for essentially nothing. So
close to the deadline, I think we'll see some pieces become available, but not right now.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. There always could be an exception, but I think right now you're looking at within, and you're looking at those veteran free agents I just mentioned, which there's a reason why they're free agents at this point in their career. So it's a tough spot to be in. And if C.J. Mosley's out, the Jets also they were without D.J. Reed, their number 2 corner last week. I don't know if he's going to be back. The Jets defense has some concerns right now, and they have a short week, Thursday night game against the Pats. Which, by the way, we're going to be doing a bonus episode. Episode 6.5, Jets-Pats recap. We're going to record it Thursday night after the game. Probably post it on Friday. Maybe I'm even considering an unedited post.
Okay. I look forward to listening to it on Friday.
Yeah, that'll be me and Brad Dalius.
Yeah.
I will be sleeping hours before that. But anyway, yeah, so the Jets have the Pats at home.
Home opener.
I look at home opener. I look at it as a really good opportunity to go to 2-1 and really set themselves up in a good spot, because then they have a 10-day break. So this will be their third game in 10 days, maybe 11 days. It's a lot, especially for a 40-year-old quarterback off his Achilles, but I think the Jets are going to win. The Patriots, I know they won week 1. They almost won against the Seahawks. I just don't believe in that team. I think the Jets offense is really close to clicking. I think it's really close. Mike Williams could be up to about 80% on snaps in this coming game against the Pats. He went from in the mid-20s to 60% in week 2 of snaps. So I expect him to be up closer to 80%. So I think the Jets offense is really close. And I do expect them to beat the Pats. What do you think?
I think so. I hope so. I'm glad that you are optimistic and feeling good. The Pats, I think they've had a pretty good showing the first couple of weeks, but probably not sustainable. Hopefully you could just chalk it up to the weirdness of the first couple of weeks of the NFL season here.
A lot of weirdness.
Yeah.
So, wanted to touch on baseball. I know we still got to get into the Twitter segment, the Let's Mock New York Fans on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Real quickly on the baseball, not much here to discuss. Just wanted to touch base on it. We'll start with the AL East. The Yankees are up 3 games on the Orioles. Looking pretty good right now. They do have a 3-game series coming up against the Orioles, but that's after they're on the West Coast trip right now. In Seattle for 3, in Oakland for 3, but in a really good spot. Phillies up 8 games over the Mets in the NL East. 9 games over the Braves. The Phillies might actually be able to clinch the division in Citi Field this weekend.
Yeah, magic number was down to 4, I believe, as of yesterday. I've not to go against my superstitions, but they've got their eye on the 1 seed right now. They are a game up on the Dodgers, but they own the tiebreaker. So they're essentially 2 games up on the Dodgers.
That's big.
Yeah, it's huge. And they are 3 games up on the Brewers, who they're playing right now in a series. And if they win one game this series, they lost last night, playing tonight and tomorrow. But if they win one of these games, then they'll own the tiebreaker over
Win
the
that
Brewers.
tiebreaker, yeah.
Yeah. So they're in a really good spot. Yeah, they ended up taking care of business against the Mets this past weekend. That was a really big series, but the Mets are still clinging on to that last wild card spot.
Yeah, Mets lead the Braves in that last wild card spot by a game. They're also only a game behind the D-backs for the second wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about the Mets, I don't know if you saw this, they had a Lindor injury scare.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So he came out of the game on Sunday with a back injury. He didn't play yesterday. He got an MRI, came back clean. So they're calling it day to day. He said, I could be back in 2 to 3 days. I could be back in 4 to 5 days. So he's day to day. Probably avoiding an IL stint, though, which is huge because if it came back, there was a long-term injury, they were done.
The manager said that he hopes that he comes back over the next couple days.
What's the status? We hope he's going to be on the team.
That's right.
What do you think about this injury? Yeah, we hope he's going to be healthy.
Yeah.
Great update.
Yeah, we hope he's good. We hope.
All right, so let's mock New York fans on Twitter. Let's bring it back. What do you have for us?
Let's bring it back. So I've got our 3 medal winners here, and I don't really know. These aren't typical. These aren't typical. Just New York fans like talking about the team or whatever. So first one, the bronze medalist, comes from everybody get your. Although the profile pictures aren't as good this week, but first one comes to us from our friend. His name is Shim, and his handle is at Shim, SHIMNGMI. So he is commenting. I don't know who posted the original tweet because I just took a screenshot of it, but he's commenting underneath the Brian Daboll press conference about the kicker. So, and I forget who the original tweet posted, but this guy says, Daboll gives his reasoning for the answer. Hey, like you just said, we thought he was going to be good. He was medically cleared to play, so we didn't think we needed to bring on a kicker. He's explaining the logic behind that. And this guy says, Shim says, Ben McAdoo was better than this bald, arrogant fuck. So Ben McAdoo is like public enemy number 1 for the G-Men fans.
Oh,
just
yeah.
So you know.
The G-Boys.
The G-Boys, yeah. They fucking hate Ben McAdoo, even though during, the Ben McAdoo era, he was the best because he took them to the playoffs. So
that 1 year, he was the best. After that, he was the worst.
The 1 year, he was the best. This is what we do. We want Green Bay, boat trip, and then they got smacked, and they haven't recovered since. So that was that. Thought that was good. A lot of stuff regarding that.
Yeah, just the anger in a tweet, right?
Yeah, he's giving his reason. Like, you might not agree with it, but
like, you were texting me some angry stuff about the Eagles, but you wouldn't put it on social media.
I wouldn't put it on social media.
Yeah. I might put it on social media for you, though.
You should. Yeah, that's exclusive, just emotional, unhinged anger that goes towards a very select group of people.
Yeah, you have the understanding that if I put it on social media now, it's out there for everyone. This guy, just going your way to, it's just, anyway. He's very unhappy. Well, and I brought this up earlier about the press conferences, right? Like, why do fans take this so seriously? They don't take what he's saying literally. He's just answering. He's just saying whatever. Like,
what do you want him to say? Like, yeah, you know what? It was a really stupid decision on my part.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I shouldn't have done.
That's what they'll say. They're like, just admit it. And then if he did admit it, they'd be crushing him.
Exactly. Yeah, well, this is New York, man. You can't, can't give these kinds of answers, to the New York media. You'll get crushed.
No, they had the extra media member there to ask you a second question, a follow-up question.
All right, so tough time picking the silver medalist versus the gold medalist this week.
Ooh, okay.
But I think I got the right order down. So the silver medalist comes from our old pal Joey, DJ Lit MVP.
Yeah.
He's not the tweeter of the week. He posted the original tweet, and it was a comment somebody responding to his
Oh, I
tweet.
thought we were going to get Joey back.
No. I think he'll be a staple of the segment moving forward, but this week
He'll
he
be a
doesn't.
guest one day.
Right. So Joey, for those who don't remember from last week, it's at DJ Le MVP, and he tweets. So anyone watching the Eagles game last night, he tweets a picture of your very own Jalen Brunson
JB?
on field pregame talking to the Monday Night Football crew. He's wearing his Jalen Hurts jersey. He's
Nice.
a local kid. He's a big Eagles fan. He's from Philadelphia. He went to Villanova. His whole family is full of Eagles fans. So, he's an Eagles fan, and he's staying loyal to his team. So Joey writes, with the picture of that, this is exactly why Aaron Judge will always be king of New York. And this is the picture that he tweets. Jalen Brunson being very cool, calm, collected, talking to Jason Kelce. So this is why Aaron Judge will always be king of New York. And then a response to this tweet comes to us from Bit Giant. And it's at BTC LFG Men. So I don't know what that is.
Wait, BTC let's fucking go G boys.
Let's fucking go G Men. Yeah.
Boys.
So again, Joey, Jalen Brunson in the Eagles shirt. So Bit Giant's response is, Brunson really is a piece of shit for this.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's really a piece of shit for rooting for the team that he grew up rooting for.
It's so funny. Yeah. How dare someone root for a team? You must root for the team I root for. You can't. You play for New York. You play for the Knicks, and you root for the Eagles. Go to the Sixers. Brunson has talked about this on his podcast, on his roommate's podcast with Josh Hart. He's talked about how fans are just so vulgar to him about.
Really?
They talk about how he's like as a player, I've just gotten so much love. No one says anything negative to me. Even when I have a bad game, I get nothing. The only thing I get hate for is being an Eagles fan. He's like, I can go 0 for 14. No one says anything. I wear an Eagles jersey and people are hating me.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, again, this is New York, baby. They don't play these kinds of games.
That's a good one.
All right. So number 1.
Gold medal.
So this comes to us from a guy named Sean Morash.
Oh, you know who this is?
So I didn't until I looked at his profile. So he's a host at WFAN, correct?
Kind of. Not really. He's like a part-time host, producer, third co-host, like a Brad Dalius type.
Right.
On WFAN.
Okay.
And he's one of the producers and on the Tiki Barber Evan Roberts afternoon show.
Right.
And before you got to say whatever the tweet is, this guy is your prototypical sports talk radio guy. Just says the most ridiculous nonsense. Has to react. Has to be has to exaggerate a take. And he also is just. He is the type of person, when you talk about New York fans and how much you hate them, he actually is that type of person. He represents that person, even though I disagree that most fans represent that person. Anyway, yes, I'm not surprised that he finally made this. I'm ready to hear the tweet.
Okay, so you actually wouldn't get that sense from reading this tweet, because this is a very sound, logical thing that he writes here. So in case you missed it, Saquon Barkley dropped the game-winning pass for the Eagles yesterday.
Yes.
And
my
the
God,
Giants fans, you would think that they just won the Super Bowl with how the Giants fans were reacting. So, at Sean Morash tweets the following. Someone check in on the Saquon fan club. Everyone okay over there in Loserville? And then he tags all the guys at WIP, at Spike Eskin, at Elliot Shore Parks, at John Kincaid, at John Marks, at Ryan Dunleavy. Then,
Yeah, he
all
showed them.
caps. Saquon is a losing player that can never catch a big pass. Terrible contract. Enjoy it.
Oh my God! Did any of them respond to him?
It looks like they did, yeah.
Oh,
But I didn't read them. But
he'll
yeah,
never make a big cat.
never. He was so
Loserville.
furious that he spelt never with an N. He spelt
Well, he probably doesn't even know
never.
how to spell.
He was just, he was just firing
So
off.
mad.
He's so
He very big thumbs, that guy.
he's just checking on Loserville.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy, he's just not a winning player, man,
Yeah, like
He
you said,
only
very
caught
sound.
3 touchdowns the week before and had 150 yards, but he's just not a winner.
A real winner would never leave New York
That's right. Exactly.
and go to the enemy. Oh my God, that is just so ridiculous. It's not surprising that he would tweet something like that.
Yeah, I think he'll be a staple of the segment moving forward
Oh
too.
God, he's good. We should
Yeah.
get some clips of him too on WFAN. That's great. So, new segment. In the open, I teased that we are going to introduce a brand new segment. So, we can work on what we're going to call this. If we want to call it subscriber questions, listener questions, fan questions. For now, I'm going to call it subscriber questions. What do you think, Sister? Are you good with that?
Yeah, that works for now.
Okay. We can always change it. So I have 2. One of them is directed at me, but we can both answer. The other one's for both of us.
Okay.
I apologize to this person if I'm mispronouncing the Instagram tag. At un muchacho on
Nailed
Instagram messaged us. On episode 5, you said Lindor was in the conversation for NL MVP. So, Rob Manfred has given you a vote. Who are you voting for? Now, he directed it at me. I just took out when he said Andrew. So, this is kind of, it's a good question because it's a really complicated MVP conversation. Current Lindor injury may impact it, so the timing of this is a little disadvantage. I don't know if I'm using that correctly. A disservice to Lindor at the moment because he just missed most of the game on Sunday, missed yesterday's game on Monday, and we're recording this on Tuesday, 9/17, and he is missing the game and probably going to be out a couple more days. So, but it's close because the thing about Ohtani is, while he's on his way to a 50 home run, 50 stolen base season, first player to ever do that, and he has an OPS about 1,000, and he's just an amazing, amazing hitter. He's been the second best hitter in baseball after Judge, maybe third after Soto. He's been a DH all year, and he hasn't pitched this year because of Tommy John. So there's a lot of defensive value that Lindor is bringing to the table as a well above league average defensive shortstop. Depending where you look, Fangraphs has their defensive metrics have him as like a top 5. Baseball Reference has him more middle of the pack. Either way, he's adding significant more value than Ohtani is, but it's close because Ohtani's doing more base running. He's doing a lot more offensively. Ohtani has a 165 WRC plus. Lindor's is in like the 130 range. So it's really close. And it's funny, some people want to say WAR, which I don't think is like an all, like, just look at WAR and that's your decision. It's a good starting point. And what's interesting about it is because Fangraphs, I don't know if you knew this, but Fangraphs and Baseball Reference calculate defensive WAR differently.
Okay.
So if you look at WAR for a player's WAR on Baseball Reference and Fangraphs, it'll be different. So anyway, so on Fangraphs, Lindor's defense is valued more than it is on Baseball Reference. So Lindor actually has a better WAR than Ohtani on Fangraphs, but Ohtani is the better WAR on Baseball Reference. I think it's really close. I would give it to Ohtani because personally, when it's very close, I'm always going to go with the guy who's doing the monster offense. Ultimately, as into defense and base running and everything I'm into, hitting impacts baseball more. impacts the baseball game more than great defense. It does. Even at shortstop. Ohtani hitting and stealing and running the bases, extra bases, taking all that goes into base running metrics. Ohtani's elite in hitting and base running. So I give it to Ohtani. It's a good question. Who would you vote for?
Yeah, I think I just based on that logic that you said, I think I typically value the defensive side of it a little bit more. So I would lean Lindor's way. I also think it's probably a little bit easier getting those kinds of numbers when you have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman.
Well, Mookie Betts was out most of the season.
Yeah, that's true.
So, by the way, when it comes to accounting stats like RBIs and runs, that's proven true. Obviously, he was in the lineup, but the independent stats like OPS, OPS plus, WRC plus, a lot of that there's very little impact based on where you are in the lineup, who's ahead of you and who's behind you. There's some, but I would say there's some impact based on for defensively who's pitching, who's playing third base, things like that too. So, but anyway, okay.
Yeah, you took a joke. I was gonna say like, well, there's one easy way to settle this. Like, who's got more RBI? Who's got the higher average?
Who's got the higher batting average?
That's
Don't
right.
look at anything else.
That's right. Yeah.
Last or second and last for this episode's question, subscriber question at Mike. Well, this is actually just two people that asked me this question or asked us this question. Not the exact same question, but they're very similar. So Mike I715 and MCB2231 on Instagram both asked about Hassan Reddick holdouts. One of them asked who's in the wrong, the Jets or Reddick. The other one asked, does the Jermaine Johnson impact the leverage for Hassan Reddick? So let's start with who's wrong. I don't think anyone's wrong. I think the Jets made a trade. His representatives led him to believe that he was going to come to camp and then work on a contract. He never came to camp, whether they misled them or he just changed his mind. Either way, the Jets traded for a player. The Jets have a lot of players that are going to be looking for a new contract for extensions over the next couple of years, guys that have been on the team they drafted, that have performed for them. It has a very bad trickle-down effect if you give that big contract to a player who's, one, never played for you and has shown no commitment to the team by even coming to camp. From Hassan Reddick's standpoint, we talked about this in episode 1, he has greatly outperformed his contract. He is among the best pass rushers in the league, and the best pass rushers in the league make a lot more than $15 million a year. And players in the NFL with how easily your career could be over don't want to play on a 1-year contract. They want an extension. So I don't think anyone's wrong. What do you think?
So mostly agree with your sentiment, but if I had to pick someone, I would say Hassan.
I did take the cop-out answer by saying not answering and saying no.
So I'll say that Hassan Reddick is in the wrong here, just because you signed the contract, man. So like, I get that you want to get an extension. I get that you want more money. I totally understand all of that, but at the end of the day, like, you should have done this 2 years ago before you signed your 3-year deal with Philadelphia. So I certainly understand both sides, but like, yeah, if you made me pick someone, then yeah, it's Reddick, because you signed the deal. You should play out your contract, and if you have a really good year this year, then you'll get an extension. But yeah, given the fact, like, you're not 26, man, like, you're 30. You gotta, at some point, you have to realize that it is what it is, and the Jets made the trade, and in good faith, they want you to be part of the team, and you're holding out. So please come back to Philadelphia. We need you. We are so bad without you.
Would you trade Bryce Huff for Hassan Reddick?
My God, well, we'll trade you Bryce Huff, all the dumb picks you want, and friggin' I'll give you all the money in the world, man. Just please come back to us.
All right. How about the second part of this question? The leverage he has from the Jermaine. Yeah.
Oh,
that's a good question.
I absolutely think that he has more leverage now. Are you kidding?
For sure.
I mean,
yeah, I agree.
Listen to that list of free agents that you read off is not very inspiring. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely be ponying up if I were the Jets right now. Especially, does it work? if they're on IR, like the cap hits is still there, right? So I guess it doesn't really matter from that standpoint. Yeah.
I can't claim to understand the NFL salary cap.
Yeah.
The NFL salary cap's a strange thing.
Yeah.
Where, to answer the question, yes, it does give Hassan Reddick leverage. It has to. That doesn't mean the Jets are going to give in. They may not cave, but he still has leverage.
Of course.
The Jets need him more than they did before Jermaine Johnson's injury. It's not even a question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe they end up trading him closer to the deadline and a deal for a different pass rusher. I don't know. I don't know who's going to want to trade for him.
I know a team who could use him.
Yeah, the Eagles aren't trading for him. There's a reason why the Eagles traded him away.
I know.
Anyway, so we're gonna do this. This is gonna be a new weekly segment. We're gonna take questions. So for you listeners out there, subscribers, you can either comment on one of our videos.
Yeah.
You can DM us on Instagram at Fanatics and Analytics, or what you want to give? You want to give them your cell phone number?
I don't think they can handle that.
Yeah, they'll get a lot of angry Eagles texts during the games. They'll get a lot of angry Eagles texts during the games.
Yeah, no, that's an exclusive club. Select
Exclusive.
You get
part
angry
of it.
Eagles text. You're part of it. You and probably
that was
about
fun.
3 or 4 other people.
By the way, before we wrap up this episode, you got mad at me.
I was mad at you. Yeah, you're damn right.
You thought it was my fault, right?
I didn't think it was your fault, but like it's just like you know that I'm not gonna celebrate a win. That didn't happen yet.
But I wasn't asking you to celebrate.
You were asking me to relax. You were saying 2-0, gritty, gutsy win. 2-0.
Oh, that was good. What did I text you? It was gritty, gutsy win. Really, truly represents the city of brotherly love. I think I said.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
It was not.
And then I gave you the win probability, which, by the way, apparently I was wrong. It was actually higher.
It was higher. Yeah.
Well, I didn't do it. It wasn't my fault. If anything, it was your fault. We already went over that, though.
Yeah. It's not your fault. I know it's not.
One person before we wrap up. One person to blame on the Eagles front office, coaching staff, players. Blame one person. Who is it for week 2?
Just for week 2?
Yeah.
I suppose it's the general manager.
All right. That's it.
I suppose it's the general manager for putting that defensive line together. It's not good enough.
Howie Roseman. All right. Well, we'll stop there. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, subscribe. We'll see you next week on episode 7.
Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew, Sis, that Brad unite. Philly and Y in the spot.